I think what you were going to say, if I can read your mind, is that don't kill yourself, because you have 2 hours to be on stage.
Sure. So basically, like, we do a lot of, like, we'll be fluid, but then we'll always come back to the robot for just a few seconds on stage.
Right.
Because if you're engaged so much, yeah, you could do a 20-minute piece, a mime piece easily, but you'll get exhausted afterwards.
I used to come out on stage and be like super robotic, and I'd be tired within the first song. So now I kind of just throw away the first song. I'm like, I don't even care, because I want the middle of the show and the end of the show to be like the impressive part.
Yeah, I mean,
plus there's 3 of us, so we don't ever have to really be at full force the entire time.
Right.
And especially if, you know, we have so much stuff going on that it's easy to kind of switch between, okay, focus on this or that, and the audience can always, and you can always see someone looking at you when they're not supposed to, and you're kind of like, I don't know. The focus isn't on me right now.
I'm not supposed to be looked at on stage.
You're looking at me catching some breath right now.
And when we're not doing the robot, like we're not like selling it, doing funny little robot bits, which there are a lot of in our act. You know, we just exaggerate our movements a lot. It looks like a cartoon. Sam especially is a very physical performer. He beats himself up on stage all the time. He's rolling around.
I don't have any back problems, so. I mean, yeah, if I didn't have, I would probably do a lot more falling and stuff if we didn't have all this delicate equipment strapped to our bodies.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of equipment. There's a lot of obstacles that we throw on ourselves.
But it all helps. It all helps to being, you know.
I mean, just a costume, any of you do theater, you kind of know, like, sometimes it's just way easier to get into character when you're in a costume, because in your regular street clothes and stuff, you're comfortable in them, so you feel like yourself. But the minute you're in, you know, a tight-fitting vest, or you have a bunch of electronics strapped to you, and you suddenly feel like, okay, this is a little uncomfortable, and so then you're kind of in performance mode. And I think that's kind of how a costume works anyway.
Right, it's definitely a tool we use. I guess we'll touch a little bit on costuming since we're here. So yeah, the costumes, we start out with just like black clothing, not a whole lot going on.
I mean, it's the easiest kind of clothing that everyone can get, because everyone goes to funerals. And
everybody dies.
And it looked classy, but I think a few years in, I think in 2012, I was dating a costume designer, and I had her make me a vest, and it looked so good. We just started giving everyone costumes, and that was really great. We definitely still hook up with costumers. Esther Scandunas is our current one. She constructed the Walter worker dresses, all the costumes that you see.
Yeah, all of them have pretty much been designed by you, with input from the rest of us.
Right.
Sam has done a bunch too.
Sam mostly did Hatchworth. I mean, I did the initial drawing just to kind of as a starting point.
Yeah, I mean, you drew the pipe, but I mean, I don't know.
That was back in like,
great.
it was actually back in like 2012 or 11. Because we were just like joking, I don't know, I wasn't really joking, I was like, what if Sam became a robot and we can call him the Mustache? And I did this art piece that looked kind of like Hatchworth, but it was, yeah. So,
I mean, most of the stuff is collaborated. We kind of talk amongst ourselves to kind of see what is going to be on stage.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
Same with the makeup, I mean the costumes too. I remember saying, I think the next spine vest should look like he's a G.I. Joe action figure, where the torso's like segmented. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of looks, there's like enough details.
Yeah, it's a good vest. I mean, just the little subtle details. They're all built from the same material. I guess there's not much texture, but I think that helps kind of...
A lot of refinements over the time, too, because I remember there was like 3 layers of fabric on my first jacket, and sleeves, which I couldn't lift up my arms over my head, and now I'm down to just like 2 layers of fabric and no sleeves, so I can have mobility and have the material breathe a little better and not be so heavy and all that. And I had wires sticking out, which was great on my first vest. It had all the wires, but they started poking through and stuff, and that was a really cool look.
Yeah, I think for practicality's sake, we sometimes make concessions, which is good. Like, can we talk about the new thing next year, the Walter stuff?
Yeah, the Walter stuff.
All right. I never know what I can talk about. So we're redesigning the Walter worker dresses, and we came up with some. There'll be an Engineer Tier article about it. I don't have any of the photos with me, but we're redesigning it a little bit because the girls, Chelsea and Camille, actually want to be able to raise use their arms, and they can't with these giant poofy shoulders. So in redesigning it, we wanted to also be like, okay, let's kind of reevaluate, because this is nice, it's really cute, but let's make it a little more practical. So we're going to chop off the sleeves and the poofy shoulders. It's going to look a little bit more utilitarian. But other than that, it's just going to be pretty subtle. But hopefully it's going to, I don't know, I guess make it more practical, but more importantly, no, I said that in reverse. It's going to make it look slightly more, no wait, so it looks practical, and it is practical. It looks like you might be able to build a robot wearing it.
Well,
that's the idea.
To mention their dresses have a lineage of multiple users.
Yeah. I mean, we go through. Yeah, they've had hand-me-downs at this point. I mean, they've been altered to fit them, but
it's crazy.
They're pretty old, and fabric only has such a long lifespan. My dress is it needs to be remade, even if it's the same one.
I mean, I've been using the same vest for a while. I've had some stuff touched up on it, like the zippers for the spines have gone and stuff. But you know, you sweat enough shows after a few years. I think that one's about 4 or 5 years almost now.
I've got a gaping hole in my crotch. But I mean, I love those pants though.
Yeah, they cover that gaping hole in your crotch when you wear the pants.
But yeah, let's move on to makeup, since this is Be Your Own Bot panel. And we can talk about anything.
Well, how long is this panel anyways?
We got till 1, so we're about halfway through right now.
Cool.
And we should definitely save some time for questions, just in case we don't touch on something that someone's really dying to know.
So yeah, makeup. Definitely touching back on like mime. That's where it all comes back to. So why a white face? Why do mimes have white faces? Why do clowns have white faces? It's not just to be really creepy. It's also it exaggerates the features. If you were just eyebrows, eyes, and a big red mouth, or whatever variation thereof, you can express really big and play to a wider audience, and that goes back to like the Greek times.
Yeah, I mean, even commedia dell'arte. I mean, even with masks, it's like even the masks they wore, they're just accentuated expressions, or even stereotypes of like this is an old man mask, or this is a happy one. Like you
can see them from a distance, and also back before they had microphones, that was really helpful to have like a giant head or a whatever. And also for mimes where you can't talk, you can't to express yourself, or you're not supposed to, I guess, but you can. You know, just those subtle facial expressions are really under a microscope when you just simplify your face. You cut out everything that doesn't matter, and you just focus on the most expressive parts.
So a lot of the robot makeup we do is based around that. I mean, even our first makeup designs that we just kind of slapped together was basically just mime makeup, but with metallic paints. And I mean, the spine stayed that way for quite a while until Sam came in and started doing more complicated stuff than John did. So I thought
John had some cool.
Oh yeah. But I felt like it was like yours was complicated. John wasn't.
Yeah, you didn't have much detail.
Sorry about that.
No, I didn't have any. I had some shading. That was about it.
And I will say that I've always had the darkest shade of robot makeup, and I've kind of taken the opposite, the inverted, and I've fallen in love with it. Just like eyes, teeth, eyebrows, and a mustache. Like I like using that stuff. I think it's the similar concept, but just inverted. I think I don't know.
Yeah, I mean when you open your eyes wide and you smile, it's just
my teeth look really white, which is great. Right now, I don't want to. I'm glad I have a mustache because they're pretty. They're almost coffee colored at this point in my life. But when I put on that bronze makeup, I got those pearly whites.
So yeah, it's it helps accentuate everything, and gosh, the process is really long. Now, I would argue it's the worst part about doing the act. It is really fun. Obviously, the payoff is you look really cool. And I would say half of our work is done if we just get the makeup down. And
oh yeah, pretty much. I mean, because the act we do enough times. That's always fun too. But yeah, the makeup. I mean,
it's a big part of why we're even popular.
We give ourselves about 3 hours. It usually takes us anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half to get makeup on.
Yeah.
And it's a small amount in a long weekend, but
it definitely separates us from. I mean, as you probably are aware, it separates you from other acts because we'll miss a bunch of shows. We'll miss hanging out with people and stuff. So really, we're just like we get a lot of attention because of the time we put into putting on makeup and stuff. So that it's worked out, but it's kind of isolating too in a little bit of a way. But that helps you get into robot mode.
Sure.
Yeah, it can be pretty tiring. Back in the day, when we did the zoo, we did like 74 days in a row in makeup, 2 years in a row, and it was just, I don't know how we did it without our faces falling apart.
Yeah,
it was awful. It was horrible. It's just as bad as it sounds. Like,
oh, we were grateful for the pay,
sure,
consistent paycheck.
But now we're a little more lazier. We're just like, if we don't have to put on makeup for 2 days in a row.
Well, it's that where would we find a place that would have a robot act for every day for 2.5 months straight?
Right.
It kind of was a one-time deal, I think, but.